Please, I want everybody to be seated before I start teaching. Wherever you are, just take your seats before I start to teach. Okay, so we are looking at the sent ones, and this is more like a follow-up to our previous teaching on calling matters. Remember, we had dealt with calling or calling matters in maybe last 2 or 3 editions ago. So this, the sent ones, is more like the follow-up to that teaching, because after being called, you have to be sent. And if there is any aspect of destiny that people miss out on, is this aspect of sending or being sent. A lot of people are sent, but not everybody. Sorry, a lot of people are called, but not everybody is what? Sent. It's more like what Jesus said when he said, many are called, but few are what? Okay, so the World Cup has started now. And maybe in some couple of minutes, the first match between Qatar and Ecuador, something will start. Am I correct? Now, an average team has about 26 players that have been mobilized or that are already in Qatar at the moment. I think all teams should have arrived in Qatar now. Praise God. Except the Super Eagles of Nigeria. They are also watching on the screen. The way you and I will be watching on the screen. So, the language they use in sports is that they have some people have been called to feature in the World Cup. A lot of them were called from their clubs. But do you know that it is very possible for somebody to go to Qatar and he never gets to play the match? And his team actually is playing. Especially the goalkeepers. You know, an average team goes with about 3 goalkeepers or 4. Except if the main keeper has injury. Most of the time, goalkeepers do not get to be changed. Now, can you now imagine, listen to me everybody, one of the 26 players, maybe the second, part of the second 11, you know, because when the first 11 is playing, there is another second 11, something like that, who were also called with the first 11 because they all went to Qatar together. But can you imagine a scenario where the match is going on and one of the people on the bench decide to stand up, remove his jacket, and so to leave his jersey alone and tighten his boots, and he enters the field and starts to play? Now, that would have been an abnormality in sports, because the guy, and when you ask him, so why are you, maybe I'm called now, but you are not sent. You were called to go to Qatar, but you have not been sent to play at that time. Now, because what we are going to be discussing today is where a lot of people miss it. They have not been able to manage or manage the dynamics of their calling and the dynamics of their sending. For example, I was teaching them in a training session just now that I received the name Destiny Impact Church in 2011. That's about 10-11 years ago. That's more like a call. So God called me and he told me, you are going to start a church. But I did not immediately start Destiny Impact Church because I was only called. I was not sent yet. So our sending is tied to timing. You carry an eternal call, but your calling is going to be fulfilled when you are sensitive to the timing of your sending. Because I was given that mandate in 2011. God gave me the name Destiny Impact Church. That's the name of our church. But I was not yet sent until 2016. That was when God said, and I'm going to give you about 5 M's. Not 3 M's of money now. Because in our church, I took a teaching on 3 M's of money. But I'll be giving you 5 M's of divine sending. 5 M's of divine sending. So the first thing I've established now is that there's a difference between when you are called and when you are sent. Like the footballers playing in Qatar now, all of them have been called. You know, not everybody too was called for Qatar. Am I correct? Not everybody, even though they can equally play. That's why the call of God is mysterious. You'll be wondering that these people that are called, like I tell people, you are not called because you are the best. You are not called because you are called by election of grace. So not everybody is called and not everybody is sent. What do I mean by not everybody is called? I'm not saying everybody does not have a calling, but not everybody is called to do a particular type of ministry. For example, now somebody can say that this one, that everybody is starting a church now, let me also go and start. Is wrong now, because that everybody, quote and unquote, is starting a church does not mean that you are called to start a church. You can be called to something else. So when I say not everybody is called, I'm not saying that not everybody has a call. Everybody has a call, but not everybody is called in a particular line of ministry or destiny. Are you following me now? So not everybody is called. I have explained what I mean by that. And not everybody is sent. But let's leave everybody. Let's face ourselves. The question is, have I been called? Yes. Have I perceived the call of God? Yes. Do I understand the call of God? At least to an extent. But the next physical question is that, have I been sent? Because if you go when you are not sent, you are going to be stranded. Are you following me now? I say if you go when you are not sent, you are going to be stranded. Let me give you a picture. The sending of God is like somebody who is on the top of a tower, if I may use that word, and he has an helicopter view of the happening on the ground. Okay, have you noticed? I'm trying to explain this very well now. Maybe the control tower or something where somebody is watching, maybe the weather, watching everything. He has an helicopter view of everything. So it's the one that is communicating whoever needs to go that, wait, don't go yet. You can go now. That's the same way the call of God is. That you are called, but he needs to tell you don't go now. Why? Because the coast is not yet clear. Are you following me, somebody? Now, if you go when the coast is not yet clear, you are going to be a victim of lack. Because one of the points I want to share with you, you're going to be a victim of lack, and you also be a victim of satanic assault. So God is our caller. He has an helicopter view of what is happening. Okay, let me give this example. Let's assume that, Jesus was called to save the world. But if Jesus didn't go at the time he should come, or come to the world at the time he should come, let's assume that Jesus, out of haste, because one of the things that called people must avoid is haste. If Jesus, out of haste, already came to the world and said, Shebi, you say I should go here, let me go now. What will have happened? That Jesus will have come to the world before John the Baptist. Have you imagined if Jesus came to the world before John the Baptist? Just think about it. Now, Jesus will have been trying to introduce himself. But you know how seamless and easy, quote and unquote, his introduction, his ministry was. John the Baptist has been preparing the ground for Jesus to come. Are you following me, somebody? Now, if Jesus had gone ahead before John the Baptist, Jesus will have had a struggle as far as ministry is concerned. So one of the reasons you need to understand the place of sending is that God has an helicopter view of everything. He knows when the coast is clear. He knows when the person that will forerun your life is there. He knows when the resources you will need is there. He knows when the danger that is that might likely before you is no longer there. When I read this part of scriptures and I feel somehow, God was looking as though God was powerless. When God told the parent of Joseph, take him away from your base and go and hide in another town. When the whatever of Herod came down, God said, okay, take him back now. Those who are about to kill him. I'm like, is God that weak? that you can be telling somebody you run for dear life. Oh. And when the atmosphere is peaceful now, you can come back. Now, can you imagine Joseph and Mary? They don't listen to the signal from heaven. When they are supposed to leave, they didn't leave. Or when they are supposed to come back, they came back. They will not say God could not defend them. No, God can defend you, but you were not paying attention to the signal of God. So one thing I want to paint before we start teaching is the fact that God has an helicopter view. It's more like the officer, permit my grammar now, at the control tower of our destiny. So when the psalmist said, is the one that maintains my lot, God is the portion of my inheritance. Another word is that God is the maintainer of my destiny. That means he's the one that, if I may use the word, stays up there. And he's saying, Demola, don't go to Akure now. Or Demola, go to Akure now. To Oshogbo. That was Oshogbo at the time that Lautech brought their, medical whatever, to teaching hospital Lautech, blah, 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 in Oshogbo. He said God knew that medical students were coming to Oshogbo. So he sent him at the time that medical students were. Now, you cannot separate the ministry of Daddy Are Ogun from most of the medical. In fact, most of his pastors are medical doctors. Two things God did for him. Number one, God used those student doctors to build that ministry. And most importantly, God used him to shape the life of those medical doctors. According to him, most of them will never have known that they have a call on their life. He was the one that broke the jinx that says that if you are a doctor, you don't have time for any other thing. Because some people believe that once you are a doctor, to even brush your teeth safe, we have to be begging you. That thing is a myth, irony. So you know what he will say? He will say medical doctors should attend all nights. Sometimes they do all night every day for 5 days or 7 days in the week. And you have to go to school the next day. He broke that jinx and they all finished exceptionally well. Most of them are consultant medical practitioners now. That was the first time they realized I can be a medical doctor. Not just attend midweek to resume, and you didn't fail. According to him, if he had not gone at that, that's why when God sent you of timing, he's talking about the things that he has made available that can make your destiny to happen. If you go ahead, you will go to an empty future. And if you go later than necessary, so let's assume that they go out of this craze that each of that ministry were still in maybe Ogbomoso or something. And if he left earlier or much later, after those guys have already gone,